So how could military action in Rafah, including blocking off that key border crossing, impact the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza, which has already been an issue? Joining me now to discuss is Deepmala Mahla, the Chief Humanitarian Officer for CARE. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you.
You previously said that a military operation in Rafah would be an absolute bloodbath with consequences more devastating than we can imagine. Your words. So now there is a military operation. That border crossing with Europe is now, with Egypt is now cut off. Is it a bloodbath?
It would be a humanitarian catastrophe of monumental proportions. There is no shadow of doubt about it. And thanks for mentioning my words. In the past few months, we have been raising warnings, sharing data, sharing the condition of people in Gaza, the humanitarian needs, the starvation, the disease, the deaths of children, women, families. Everything has been ignored. And if this military offensive goes ahead, this will be a catastrophe which I am absolutely certain this era would not be able to explain to the future generations.
Okay, so the full-on invasion of Rafah has not taken place yet. Israeli officials say this is a limited operation, and it should therefore allow both residents to flee if necessary, but also aid to continue coming into Gaza. Is that true?
Well, from whatever we are seeing and whatever we are experiencing, I would be very surprised that how this can be true. Number one, Rafah, the border crossing, is a lifeline to millions of Gazans to receive aid. The other one is Karim Shalom. These are two lifelines, Rafah crossing being the main lifeline. That is choked. Karim Shalom is also choked, meaning no aid comes in, no medical supplies come in, no medical evacuations can happen. And then for people to relocate, where? Relocate to where? We have been told that there are some geographical locations called humanitarian zones. Well, in those places, they are unlivable. There are no basic necessities available, and there is no guarantee or assurance of safety. And with this number of people fleeing out, it is highly chaotic. What we are hearing is every hour, some 200 to 400 people, Gazans, are trying to move from Rafah to Khan Yunis or other areas. It's very chaotic. There's a palpable sense of panic and fear. We are talking to our colleagues, you can hear screams and wails of children. It's more chaotic than anyone can imagine. And it can be stopped. It can be.
Okay, so let me ask you a question here. Israeli officials are saying that this military activity will apply pressure to Hamas to agree to a ceasefire deal, exchange of hostages. You are saying that this military operation restricts the flow of aid. Are you saying that Israel is using the flow of aid as a pressure point on Hamas?
I'm saying that this military operation certainly obstructs aid. I'm saying that this military operation puts the lives of many civilians to risk and makes the job of aid workers to deliver aid much more difficult. A ceasefire is the preliminary condition to deliver aid. And now with the border crossings closed, we cannot even bring aid. There has to be a ceasefire now, and hostages have to be released, because military operations, we leave that with Israel. As humanitarians, our plea and urge has always been from day one, protecting civilians, protecting civilian infrastructure, letting aid in, and not killing aid workers.
Right.
This military operation is not happening in vacuum. It's happening in a place where there are over 1 million highly vulnerable people, many of them who are sick, many of them who are near starvation, acutely malnourished, majority women and children with no health infrastructure left, with disease outbreak, with no water, with no electricity. In this situation, we are talking about risk of life to millions.
And as you note, there's been risk of life to humanitarian workers themselves as well. Deepmala Mahla, thanks so much for joining and bringing us some of the impact of this on the people of Gaza.